Guess who's back? Back again. We are back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Think we can get the rights to that?
No, 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 no. How we doing, boys?
All righty, right.
Solid. Much better if Chris can get the rights to that.
He can't.
Okay.
We'll owe Eminem a fortune. Well, we're back after a break, so catch me up to speed, guys. Where we been? What's been happening? What's been going on?
I got a screened-in porch that's halfway done, big enough to shoot a podcast from. So,
Wow, like it. Sounds good.
I'm just saying.
Sounds good. Like it by
Big
the
enough
fireplace.
to shoot two podcasts from, probably.
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll probably just do the one, but yeah. I do not have a new screened-in porch.
In fairness, I don't either.
Oh, that's true.
It's still,
That's true.
It's still
Pretty
studs.
unusable.
Yeah.
Okay.
A work in progress, at least, yeah.
You know, the
That's right.
screened-in porches to me are like one of those things that everyone has a great idea about doing, and you actually do it and you use it, unlike a pool that you think you're going to really love it, and then after like the
You
second
get tired of the
season, you're like,
maintenance. Yeah.
I've
that
seen this
maintenance.
screened-in porch. It's going to be used.
Is it?
Yeah, it's going to be used. Ain't no question about it. It has to be.
You've done pool maintenance at your own home?
I mean, I never owned a pool.
Okay.
We rented one time, and it was like every day, like a couple times a day, you were taking the little vials out there, and like, not good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it should get much more use out of my deck. That's what at least that's the plan. So,
Oh, that sounds nice.
yeah.
During the break, for me, it seemed like not just related to the podcast, but like somehow or another, the way these holidays fell this Thursday made it seem like it was longer Christmas vacation and New Year's vacation for me, the way my schedule worked. So I liked it. I felt like it wasn't one of those things like, oh, that had happened fast. The break was good in terms of it really felt like a break.
I think has it been almost 2 months since we recorded an episode?
Probably.
it's been a long time, boys.
Yeah,
That's why I sang the song at the start.
that's right.
What about you? What's going down in Sumterville?
I'm getting fat.
Okay. It's the
Yeah, I
holiday
had lost,
magic.
It doesn't take long either. You know what I mean? Like you lose 25 pounds, and then like you're like, that waxy chocolate donut is not going to hurt. Like,
I could spend a whole year losing weight, and whatever amount it was, I could undo it in 4 weeks.
yeah, it's terrible.
Really? Oh,
Sure. If I wanted to, yeah, no problem.
wow.
I could undo it that fast.
Yeah, sugar is not good for you, man, and it's,
You finding that out, huh?
yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
My wife made this like cinnamon square thing tonight for dinner, and yeah, it was rich. I mean, it was great. It was awesome. But it was the first time in forever that I've gone back for seconds on something and was like, oh, wow, I can't finish what I went back for.
Was that what did she make stuff at church the other day?
No.
I was sitting by John Rollins, and he's eating something, and he looked like he was really having a good time. You know what I mean? And at some point, he looks over at me and he says, "How can you pack this much sugar into such a small piece of cake?"
That's true. Now, Michaela's usually pretty good about how she makes things with sugar. So she like a lot of times if a recipe calls for a certain amount, she'll usually do less. So
Yeah.
it's good from that perspective. But yeah, man, this stuff caught me off guard. It was so good, but it was like eating cake, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Very good.
I was driving to work the other day, and you know, you always hear people talk about Jesus spoke to me, and he spoke to me, and he this, and I always feel like somehow my life I got left out on a lot of that. You know what I mean? Because you hear some of these people talk in church, it's like Jesus just speaking to them every second of every day and all kinds of stuff, and it just never really happened like that for me, you know. And Anyway, but I was driving and I had to go see a new accountant because I got to get another one. I guess I'm getting fired, or I did somebody fired somebody. And
The relationship was terminated.
Right.
It's just soured.
Yeah.
Amicable split. How about that?
what he said.
Hey.
And so anyway, the guy that I used to use is right down the street here, right off of Alford. And but anyway, I was driving and I knew I had an appointment at a certain time, and God kept nudging me about something. Like, it was kind of weird. It was like this guy was coming to my mind. He's since passed away, but it was like God was speaking to me about his gentleness. You know, and that's not something that like I think much of when it comes to men, you know. And but this guy was like, he just had this ability to, like, when you came into the room, it was like, I can't really explain it. I really can't. But I started getting kind of emotional about it, you know. And so I walk in, I happened to be about 25 minutes early. And right there on the wall was a picture of him. And it was a picture of him at his desk, just like I remember. And, bro, I started breaking down. Like, I don't know what came over me. And I go back out to my car and I just started weeping. And to this day, I don't like know how it hit me that way and why it hit me that way. But God, out of that came this idea that God was speaking to me about gentleness. And I think there's probably 3 men in my life that exude gentleness, and 2 of them have passed on.
Running low on options.
Right. And so, anyway, I was just thinking about how I never felt like that was modeled for me. You know what I mean? Like, the idea of gentleness. In fact, I would go home and of course I work in a business that's not always fun, you know, and I would like collect all of this crap throughout the day, you know, and I would just go home and I didn't mean it. It just came out and I would just dump it on my wife's lap or vomit it, however you want to look at it. And I remember there were times where she would be like making this face, you know, I can see it right now. Like, she'd be like holding her stomach, like, Chris, you're making me, like, you know, you're kind of hurting my stomach. Like this, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I just got to get this out. And Steve, you and I talked a little bit about that the other day, about the opposite of that, of gentleness. So that's the opposite of gentleness, you know. What was the word you came up with?
Well, I had not thought of the word for a long time until you were telling me that story. And then the word pugnacious came to my mind. And that's like a word, I don't know if I thought about that word in 10, 15 years. But pugnacious is actually the opposite of gentleness.
Right.
And it actually says in some translations in the Bible that an overseer or pastor or elder should not be pugnacious. Yeah. And it means to fight, to quarrel, to just be after it and not stop, you know, not stop, just keep talking and be overbearing. And the opposite of gentleness is pugnacious.
Yeah.
And it's a good word. Pugnacious is a good word because it's just like, it defines like it sounds, actually.
Right. And there was another gentleman that I knew. So anyway, to finish the story, I come back in my designated time and, you know, I'm trying to get it all together and all this and that. But his son has taken over his business, and he's like the third, you know. And he comes out there, and I said, man, I just started talking about his dad. You know, I said, your dad was like the most gentle man I think I ever met. And so for like 40 minutes, we had an hour to talk about my stuff, and we're like talking about, you know, his father. And he said, you know, that picture out there is like a week before he passed away. And he, once the cancer hit, I guess it had come back or something. He was just like, I'm not fighting. I'm not going to do all that. And I told him, I said, man, I never met a person like, I probably only saw him like twice a year. You know, it's not like you hang out with your accountant, right?
Yeah.
But we, it's just neat that I don't know how that happens to a man, how they get that. And I don't know how it happens that there's not too many of us that have it. but it was like God was like reaching out to me to like say something to me about, I want this in you. And then I started a journey. Like, what is gentleness? Like, where does it come from? I mean, it's a gift, but it's not a gift. It's a fruit of the Spirit, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
And so I don't know how far down the list it is, but yeah, and that was something that just like hit me that whole day. You know, like how many times have I been in a situation where I did not bring gentleness into a situation or made it worse? There was another guy by the name of Jim Cole down in Mobile that I worked with. I was doing some work on a property management company, and he was like a maintenance tech, and he invited me and Tina off to their house. Him, Ollie was his wife, and he was like, "What do y'all do in the evening?" Well, we don't do anything. I mean, and he had us come over, and he was the same way. Like, I can't even describe it. And one time I asked his wife, I said, "Has Jim always been this way?" And she said, "Oh no." So then I was like, I have hope, you know, that just because you didn't have it doesn't mean you can't get it. And I don't know what was the deal that day. So I guess I'm on that kind of journey about what is gentleness exactly, and why do you not see it? I'm not picking on us dudes, but I don't see it a lot, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, we're more like wrecking balls, you know, in situations. But when you see it and it's illustrated in the life of somebody, man, it can be super powerful because it's not weakness, right? It is a type of strength, but it's just, I'm trying to get me some of that.
How's that going?
It's day by day.
They don't sell it for $6.99 a pound.
They don't. But in every aspect, like you even think about like when I was a young father, I mean, could not I had a dose of that, man, it would have, you know what I mean? Like you think about all these things like, wow, what about that? Or what in that instance, or with your wife or with your parents or, you know, whatever, like all the people as a business owner. I mean, it's just, you know.
And yet I have heard you, I remember thinking about it in the past, sometimes when you talk about your kids.
Yeah.
You had a gentle tone to your voice. You really did. Even in the middle of some difficult circumstances, I remember once or twice thinking about how you had a gentleness about you, about that situation. I don't mean that you practice that all the time, but I have seen it in you before.
Well, I appreciate that.
No, I mean it. Yeah.
Cut him a check.
So I think for me, it was like seeing like men, like, I don't know if you guys have one of those men in your life or have had one that, and I'm not picking on men, but I'm speaking to men, you know, when I think about this.
Yeah.
What you've had, I'm sure, someone in your life that you was like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah.
That's different.
I remember one of the men that mentored me first in ministry when I was 22 years old. He was a gentle man, strong man, but gentle. You know, I think maybe sometimes when we talked about that for men, we think that there's not strength attached to that. But actually, gentleness itself can be very strong in its impact on people, just like this guy was with you. Just seeing a picture of him just brings it all back, which shows it's a pretty strong and impactful thing. So gentleness, when you see it, is pretty obvious, I think, a lot of times, because it's a strength.
And yet you said, like, Chris, do you have trouble defining exactly what that looked like in this guy?
Maybe, you know, I mean,
I remember you saying, Chris, that something that helped me understand to your question, Derek. You said he didn't bring angst into the room.
Yeah.
He didn't bring anxiety into the room. You know what I'm saying? He didn't bring anxiety. He just kind of brought a calm, a peace, or something like that. Isn't that kind of what you talked about?
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. It was just sort of just a reminder of like what I felt like Jesus was like literally putting a mirror up to me and saying like, what do you bring into space? You know what I mean? Like when you walk into a room, when you come into a situation, like what are you bringing in? You know what I mean? Like if you're not in your home, just let's say in your house, if you're not a nice place to land for the people in your home, you know, like, I mean, you hear it all the time, like, man, Daddy, when he would come home, man, we, you know, I mean,
hunker down.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I know everything can't be a circus, you know, and fun, but like, it just got me thinking. I mean, just like, what have I brought into this space? And I don't have a ton of answers, but I'm seeking them.
I like your word, like a lack of angst, just a settledness, maybe not chaotic,
Right.
not confusing, not what's going to happen next. Predictable, maybe in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. Right.
I was talking with my wife about something recently that she was talking about some change she wanted to see in the new year and all that stuff, whatever. And it's kind of that old thing where if you ask God for something, I think patience is the one that gets thrown around a lot, and then that He sets you up with opportunities to practice patience. Have you felt like you've seen maybe not even opportunities, but just like, man, I wouldn't have. I used to be the response to that would have been different or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. If you pray, it'll come. And like, I'm not asking for like difficulty.
Yeah.
Please know that.
Please, Lord. Please.
You're gonna get it.
Please know that. It's more of like an awareness of it. Like,
That's a good word.
You know what I mean? Like so. I don't have a big company, but I have probably 7 employees, or whatever. And so when I go into like, this is, my boys don't probably listen to this podcast, so I can talk about them. But so like if they
Eric, create a reel and tag them.
Yeah,
and I honestly, I have probably gotten so many houses ready, remodeled, like I could do it in my sleep. I'm not like, what they say, but he's a master of none. I forget the saying.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, don't call me an electrician, but I can do a little bit,
Yeah.
So like my boys who haven't been doing it very long, like they just do things backwards. You know what I mean? They don't mean it. They just, I just haven't taught them well, and sometimes, so I have a Mexican crew that like, they do everything well. Get out of my way, Mr. Gringo, like, and let us fly. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I'll come on the job and I'll be like, that's when the gentleness, like how, you know what I mean? Where it's not like it's supposed to be. And instead of like, just like, there's 1,000 ways you can bring angst into a situation. And I've probably mastered most of them. Right. Sarcasm, belittle. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, well, Johnny, it's sure, whatever, just fill in the blank. You can get pretty creative with how you make fun of somebody or whatever. And then I thought, wow, what was with Jim Cole and Bob Letson? What was it about them that made them not me, not that. And I never heard them like, so I don't know. I wish we could talk about gentleness. Like, what are some of the aspects or the attributes of gentleness that make someone gentle? Because it's not weak. It's not a wuss. It's not, there's things I know it's not, but then there's things that it is. And you can't always put it's something that, I don't know.
See, and we know the complex tax situation you were bringing to Bob, and that he would have had every opportunity to
not be gentle.
Yeah.
To bring angst.
To be ungentle.
Chris, I'm going to tell you what carryover is one last time. No, man, it was.
And you probably, if you would have done that, you probably would have been like, yeah, I deserve this.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it was just something that like I've been really, I say pray. I mean, lately prayer has kind of turned differently for me. I'm just like asking Jesus questions. That's praying, isn't it? And just like, just making me that gentle spirit, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I think we always think, women are gentle, men are not. And that's just garbage lies, you know what I mean? But it's,
Not
but
true.
what is it supposed to look like? It doesn't mean that I look more like a woman, you know what I mean?
No.
You know, don't get preacher started on
No, I mean, it's because it's not true that women are gentle and men aren't. That's because the fruit of this, it's a fruit of the Spirit. It's not a fruit of what sex you are,
yeah.
you know. What the Bible's talking about gentleness, what I think it's talking about is not just it's not just being nice. It's not just being nice.
Well, it gets lumped in with a lot of other things, I think. So people think gentleness, they automatically think, oh, a woman has a softer voice in general. You've got like there's more gruffness there's more bass to your voice, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but it's not that simple, right? I mean, I'm not saying anybody would necessarily describe it that way, but those are some of the things that like play into that kind of stereotyping to say that men are less gentle. Yeah. Or women are more gentle, whatever. It's that kind of stuff. I would say probably the most gentle person that I would ever really think to call that word was probably my Uncle Daryl. Mm-hmm. And so like you saying, like the first person to come to my mind that like, is a man. Now I know plenty of women that I would say are gentle, one of which being my own mother, in my opinion, but like his gentleness wasn't like less like, oh, he's less masculine there. It's like that had zero to do with it.
Right.
Yeah. He's a good example. Because he had a lot of strength, even in his conversation, but he could be gentle, and was often gentle.
But I mean, I think it almost boils down to like, I'm probably gonna think of, different people, like other people might not see that. May not necessarily say, "Oh, I wouldn't have thought of him." May not necessarily think they would have thought of him when.
That's right.
It's kind of, I don't know. Everybody's perception on those sort of things is kind of all over the place. It seems.
Well, and too, there's such nuance to it too, because like you can come in a room, right, and not be slinging things all over the place, right? But have you ever met someone that can have some sort of like, they're sort of abusive in the way they kind of lord over others, like, it's just, you just don't do that around. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know the word I'm talking about, but it's kind of not manipulative, but
no child of mine is ever going to do that.
Yeah, whatever. Like, we just knew not to do that around so-and-so, and that's like, to me, the opposite of gentleness. When you come in and you change space where people can't be real and authentic, I would say that's the opposite of gentleness.
Let's talk about Daryl for a minute. I just thought of one way he demonstrated it in the middle of conflict. There was a few times, not many, but he called me sometimes and he'd say, "Hey, brother, man, we need to talk." Now, he was letting me know talking was not an option. You know what I'm saying? So he was being pushy on the one hand in terms of his opinion, but he was doing it in a way that said, "Hey, brother, man, we need to talk," which is what, he often would answer the phone, or if you answered the phone, he'd say, "Hey, brother, man, how you doing?" But I remember him saying it. And whenever he said, "Hey, brother, man, we need to talk," I'm like, "Let's do it." It was not like, "Well, what do we need to talk about?" The way he approached about it, it was like, "Yeah, let's talk." He said, "You and I need to talk." He didn't always say, "Brother, man." He said, sometimes he say, "You and I need to talk." And so he was like that because he could be very adamant about what he thought needed to happen, but he did it in a way that was acceptable. I thought, for me. And like you said, Eric, it may not be acceptable for somebody else. Somebody else may not see that as a gentle approach. I certainly did.
Well, especially, I mean, my kids are grown, but like y'all have younger kids, and how they perceive when y'all are in space with them, you know what I mean? Like how you handle situations, and they're watching, you know what I mean? Like, whether it be in traffic or whether it be at the grocery store, whether it be when things aren't right, you know, and just, I'm certain that I was not cognizant of that enough when I was raising my kids about being, you know what I mean? Like really being intentional about that.
I love this. You talked about your mom being gentle. I remember one time your mom was worried about it with Shauna, that she was too harsh with Shauna. I never thought she was. And I would say, I don't know what you're talking about. But years later, when Shauna was an adult, Mom talked about it. We were talking about one time. She said, Shauna, I felt like when you were growing up, I was too harsh with you. And Shauna looked at her and said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. So how did Shauna see her? Not as harsh, even though Lenore felt like she was. I didn't think she was, but she felt like she was. So sometimes even if we feel like we might be a little bit harsh, that may or may not be true. We may be more gentle than we think. On the other hand, many times we're not gentle when we think we are, too, I think. So.
All right, so I have a question for you guys based off of this, and I think we should talk about it next week.
All right.
Well, let's get it.
So come on back. Next time we'll be here wearing the same clothes, talking a little bit what?
Wash days on Thursday.
That's right. Wash days on Thursday. But we'll see you next time.